Hey, how's everybody doing? My name is David, and today I'm going to be showing off the physical releases that I got for 2017, last year. Uh, all these are going to be metal albums, so just be prepared for that. And let's go ahead and get to it. First off, we have Pallbearer with their album Heartless. This is their third album. This is released on Profound Lore Records. Pallbearer is awesome doom metal. If you're a doom metal fan and you haven't heard this, you need to change that because this is really good stuff. I don't know if I'd say it's their best because, Foundations of Burden and Sorrows and Extinction are still great albums, and, so is this. But it's tough to choose. There's a lot more progressive elements in this than compared to any of their other albums, but, that doesn't take away from how good this is. It's still just... It's what you'd expect from Pallbearer. It's still a great addition to their discography, without a doubt. So, Pallbearer, Heartless. Next up, we have Obliviscaris with Urn. This is released on Season of Mist. Obliviscaris, progressive metal, extreme, melodic, violins. A lot of you guys know them. Really good band. This is their third full length. And I don't know if I like it just as much or more than Portal of Eye or Citadel, but it's still a great album and a great addition to their discography nonetheless. Obliviscaris, Urn. Next up, we have Warbringer with Woe To The Vanquished. Awesome thrash metal. These guys wowed the shit out of me when I saw them with Overkill and Kreator back in 2013, and I was a fan instantly. After I saw them live, I went down and I bought all their CDs. This is their fifth full-length album on Napalm Records, and they kind of had some lineup trouble, so it was kind of a while until they made an album again, but the wait was definitely worth it because it's a very strong album for sure. And Warbringer, thrash metal, awesome stuff. Check it out. Woe To The Vanquished. Next up, we have Triumvir with Spiritual Bloodshed. Thank you, Wyatt, for getting me into this band. Very grateful to it. This is their second full-length album. This is released on Invictus Productions. Triumvir is very intense, dark, murky death metal. Very just crushing, heavy. God, the riffs on this are just fucking unbelievable. But, awesome death metal. And if you haven't heard this band, definitely track them down and listen to this. This is really cool stuff. This is, like I said, this is their second album, and their one before this is just as good, if not just as good as this. I can't really decide which one I like better. I love them both. But Triumvir, Spiritual Bloodshed, killer death metal. Next up, we have the Contortionist, progressive metal. Well, progressive rock, really, with this release. But, Contortionist, one of my favorite progressive metal bands. I've seen them live 3 times. They're great. Put on a great show every time I went and seen them. And, but this album, I was definitely a little disappointed with the direction on this because, like I said, it's more like progressive rock. It's a lot more mellow, a lot more straightforward than, their other stuff. It's not really all that technical and doesn't really have, just those great riffs and the other stuff that I love about the Contortionists. But even though this is my least favorite album by them, this is still a really good album nonetheless. The Contortionists, Clairvoyant, like I said, least favorite album. Just, it's not what I would prefer to hear from these guys, but it still deserves a listen, without a doubt. Next, Spectral Voice with Eroded Corridors of Unbeing. This is released on Dark Descent Records. And a big thank you to Michael for introducing me to this one. Thanks, man. Spectral Voice, Death Doom, has 3 members from Blood Incantation, atmospheric, cosmic death metal, as a lot of fans know him as. And Blood Incantation is a band that I've just been obsessing over lately. But Spectral Voice is another project of these members, but it's something completely different. This is a Death Doom, crushing, dark death doom. It's like you're being drugged further and further into the darkest abyss. Awesome stuff. A very big disembowelment influence with this album, I noticed. I'm sure a lot of other people have as well. And if you don't know Disembowelment, check them out too. That's another great Death Doom band. So, yeah. Spectral Voice, Eroded Corridors of Unbeing. Check this shit out. Next up, we have Impetuous Ritual with Blight upon Martyred Sentience. This is released on Profound Lore Records. 2 members from Portal are in this band. So, yeah. Atmospheric death metal, evil, creepy as fuck, just a suffocating dark atmosphere with this. And I would also say this is probably their best album that they put out so far, for sure. So yeah, Impetuous Ritual, Blight Upon Martyred Sentience. Definitely check this out, especially if you're a Portal fan. Next up, we have Cradle Filth with Cryptoriana, the Seductiveness of Decay. Cradle Filth has been one of my favorite bands for quite a few years now. I first discovered them back in like my first year of high school, I want to say. I got to see this band twice. They're great. Cradle Filth is a very love 'em or hate 'em band. We all know that. And I never really understand why this band gets so shit on. I've never considered them to be a black metal band. Blackened elements for sure, I'm not going to deny that. But to me, they've just always been more of a gothic metal band. And that's what this is. This is extreme gothic metal. A lot of symphonic elements, like with a lot of other previous Cradle Filth albums. I enjoy this a little bit more than their last album, Hammer of the Witches, actually. I really love the guitar melodies on this. Just those dual guitar melodies are great. Probably some of the best melodic guitars that Cradle Filth has ever had. And I love this new lineup. It's doing great. And I would also say that one of those newest members from this lineup, Lindsay Skullcraft, I think this is her best performance ever on a Cradle Filth album, for sure. Yeah, Cradle Filth, Cryptoriana, the Seductiveness of Decay. If you're a Cradle fan, you should be expecting to like this. They don't disappoint. Next up, we have Exhumed with Death Revenge. This is released on Relapse Records. Exhumed, mostly death metal, a little bit of grindcore, a little bit of thrash. A little less grind with this album, actually. Great album. Definitely not their best still. All Guts No Glory and Necrocracy are still tied for being my favorite by this band, but this is still an awesome, awesome album. Matt Harvey and the guys, they know how to make some killer, catchy, just awesome death metal. So, if you like Exhumed, this should be a no-brainer. Or you probably already heard this by now. But yeah, Exhumed, Death Revenge, killer stuff. We have Kreator with Gods of Violence. Kreator have been one of my favorite bands of all time for quite a few years now. And not just in thrash, just metal in general. I think they're just one of the best. They've never disappointed me. They've just been on a fucking roll ever since they've come back with their trademark sound back in 2001. Because for someone who don't know, in the mid to late 90s, they kind of had this experimental phase. They just released some really strange, not bad albums, but just strange. Not what you would expect from Kreator. But like I said, ever since they released Violent Revolution in 2001, they've just been on this killer comeback and just on a roll with solid album after solid album. So, and this is no exception. This is awesome stuff. If you're a Kreator fan, you won't be disappointed with this. They can do no wrong. So, Kreator, Gods of Violence. Next up, we have Infernal Majesty with No God. A lot of you probably won't know this band. I hope some of you do, because, man, this band needs more attention. They really do. Of course, I'm biased because I'm a huge fan of them. They're one of my all-time favorite bands. Like I said, pretty unknown. They definitely need some more recognition. Canadian death thrash. And their debut album, None Shall Defy, is one of my favorite albums of all time. And this is their comeback after not releasing anything for many, many years. And, man, the wait was worth it. This is awesome, awesome stuff. I can't imagine this turning out any better than what it did. And the band themselves even said that they think this is their best work since None Shall Defy. I definitely agree with that. I would definitely have to agree with that. So, Infernal Majesty, No God. If you don't know this band, go look them up. Go check them out. Hopefully you like them. If you don't, that's whatever. That's cool. But, yeah, I gotta get these guys' name out there because they deserve so much more recognition than what they're given. Infernal Majesty, no god. And yeah, that is that. So thank you everybody for watching, and till next time, take care. See ya.